Today we're going to talk to you about real estate gone wrong. That's right. How to spot the red flags when buying a house. And today we're talking about a real specific kind of house, and you're not going to want to miss out on some of the things we're going to show you inside this home behind us and some of the things that we're going to talk about. But before we do all that, let's go ahead and get started right now.
Hi, I'm Leslie.
And I'm Stephen.
And we are your local real estate agents here in the Shenandoah Valley or in the Charlottesville area of Virginia. And we honestly get phone calls and texts and emails from folks just like you who are thinking about buying or selling here in the area.
Yeah, no doubt. And we love when we get those calls because we love to help folks. And it's just been our honor to help so many folks. And maybe that's you. If it is, call us, text us, email us. We'll be happy to help you as well. Additionally, if you like our channel, if you like learning things about homes and neighborhoods and a lot of the fun events here in the area and everything.
Fun.
So we'd love it if you click that subscribe button, touch that bell icon so you don't miss a minute of all the fun things we do and the homes that we show and places we go. But today we kind of started out by saying real estate gone wrong. And how to spot the red flags. But I mentioned that we were talking about a really specific kind of real estate today. And can you tell everybody what is it and a little bit about it?
I often get asked by buyers who are thinking about buying a house, and they see in the remarks, they go, "Hey Leslie, it says in here that this home is being sold as is." What does that mean?
As is. That means that the seller won't do anything to the house. They're probably trying to hide things in the house. Mm-hmm. The house is probably junk and a whole bunch of other lists, right? That's what as is means.
No, not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of times it's not that way.
Oh, okay. So what is it then?
So, okay, we are honestly standing in front of a house that one of our buyers who we have done some contracts with on investment properties as well as their personal property. And they have a contract here on this cute little brick bungalow that was built in 1950. And we're gonna talk to you a little bit more about this house. But, as is.
Yeah, as is. So what is the difference between just buying a house regular? Yeah, I guess people would say, or I would say, and buying a house as is. What's the difference?
Well, as is means, and honestly, every house that you buy here in the state of Virginia, because we are a buyer beware state, I've done a video about that before. Click that if you want more information on that. But as is basically means that every home here in the state of Virginia is being sold as is. As you see it, the seller's not necessarily making any guarantees or warranties with that house.
Okay, so that means that this house behind us then, the seller won't do, if there was a problem with it, the seller wouldn't do anything. Is that right? Well,
I don't know. I didn't ask him if he wasn't willing to do anything because my buyers are well aware of what it means to buy a house as is. Now, I've had other buyers that say, hey, can we ask for certain things? So we've had an inspection done on a house. And honestly, inspections are so important. And we always recommend that you do an inspection on a house. But the buyers here, they've done this so many times before. They didn't have an inspection. As a former architect, she kind of knew what she was looking for.
Gotcha.
And so that being said,
so what you're saying
we're looking for big ticket items.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get at. So we're not looking at leaky faucets.
We're not looking at leaky faucets necessarily. We're looking at roofs.
Got it. So let's start outside. Okay, well, let's start outside and talk about some of the outside things. Okay. And then we'll go inside. There's a main floor, there's the top floor, and then there's a basement too.
Right.
And in an old house, and so an older house, I guess you should say.
So we're going to point out a few things today.
Let's talk about some of the things that maybe you should spot, some of the red flags that you should look for if you go into a house. So, let's start with the roof. You mentioned the roof.
Yeah. I'm seeing.
I gotta say.
Do you want to say it?
I gotta say, the first thing when I drove up, the first thing I saw was that there's a crowbar, a flat on top of the roof up there, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, what's going on there? Is that a red flag?
And it could be, but we know that there was recently some work done on the roof of this house. We're not exactly sure how old the roof was, but we know it was recently repaired. Yeah. So I don't know why there's a flat bar on top of the roof, but one of the things that we look for is the condition of that roof. We ask the seller if they know how old it is. If they don't know, we kind of ask an inspector, or we just kind of guesstimate based based on condition, about how old that roof is.
So obviously the roof's important. What about,
Right. Gutters. Let's talk about gutters. So, you know, trying to keep that water as far away from the house as possible is super important.
Yeah.
We're going to look and see if they've been overflowing.
Overflowing.
And
right.
if the downspouts are directed away from the house and, you know, things like that.
Because if they're not directed away from the house, and it's been like that for a long time, that can cause
Right.
foundation problems
It
too,
could.
right?
It's possible.
Yeah, and when the water goes in. Now, one other thing, you mentioned water, okay? And I got to say, as I'm sitting here listening,
I hear it.
there's a creek that runs right to the
Lewis
side of
Creek.
this home. And so I guess that, that's something you ought to look out for.
Absolutely.
And you probably never ever buy a house by a creek, right?
No, that doesn't necessarily mean that. I always recommend to my buyers, and we always take a look at it, if it's located near a water source like a creek or a river or a lake, we're going to look up on the FEMA map website, and if you're interested in more of that information, be sure to let me know. But we looked up, and on the FEMA map, is this home located in a floodplain where they're going to have to carry extra insurance on this home because of where it's located? And no, that's not the case. They're high enough up.
And you know, one thing before we go inside, I think one thing we ought to mention about is wood boring insects. The termite guy just
had
left.
a termite guy here.
That's right. Checking out the house. That's important. And in Virginia, I know that usually the seller pays for that cost.
Yes.
And but you know, what are some of the things you're looking for with wood boring insects?
Well, that's kind of a wood boring inspector's question.
There
But we're
you go.
going to look for.
That's why you get them.
That's why we get them. You're going to look for holes and runs for those termites and things like that. He actually did some treatment under the porch before we started this video because he found some things that were a red flag.
Right.
Under the porch in the back. We're going to take a look at that in a minute. So a couple of other things, Stefan, that I want to mention to our viewers that we take a look at as well is the grading that's around the house. We make sure that it's not graded toward the house because we don't want, again, that water getting into the house. And we take a look at the vegetation and possible overgrowth near the house as well.
Yeah. Doesn't mean that you can't buy it. I know we bought a house with grass that tall one time. but like I say, those are some of the things about the outside of the home. But we want to get you into the inside because you may have some ideas of what it looks like inside. Well, we're going to show you right now. And you might be a little bit surprised. So let's go ahead. Let's go on inside and take a look.
Okay, let's head in to the first room of this cute little bungalow.
Hey, I'm here. She just made me get out of the picture.
My goodness. So we're going to look at some red flag potentials here in this room. And in the living room, honestly, that beautiful gas fireplace, I can't point out any red flags there. But let's talk about this dark spot here on the wooden floors. So in a lot of older homes, this one again was built in 1950, we're going to see some dark stains on the floors. It's not a red flag. Okay, so honestly, there's not any red flags that I'm going to point out to you in here in this living room. Let's scooch over here to the dining room next. So again, cute little dining room, glass French doors. Are there any red flags in here? Nope, no red flags, in my opinion, in this room. So let's go to the kitchen next. This is gonna be so much fun. All right, so we're gonna stop right here and Stefan's gonna show you this cute china hutch that's a built-in 1950s houses. They have so many of these cute little features, and when they remodeled this house, they honestly did a great job with this little breakfast nook here with a little pass-through. How adorable is this? Are there any red flags in this room? Nope. I don't see anything crazy. Inside the kitchen, we really take a look and see if there's any GFCIs next to the water sources. We take a look at the plumbing underneath. We take a look and see if there's any missing appliances. And honestly, Stefan, what do you think? Do you see any red flags in this room?
No, I mean, it's like almost a really well maintained and taken care of property.
There is, it is. So let's then go down the little short hallway here. And let's see your basement's next or last, but this is the downstairs bedroom. Again, wooden floors. We have some dark spots on the floors. And you may ask me, hey, what causes that? Honestly, dogs peeing on the floor, cats, and maybe some water got spilled at some point in time and not cleaned up in the time. Now, I'm going to point out one red flag in this room here, and that's right above Stefan, and that's a crack in the wall. Now, is that a red flag? Potentially. A lot of times we see that and we say that's honestly a settling crack, if I could talk, that has happened over the years to a house. What do you think, Stefan?
I think I've got some settling cracks myself.
Okay, we're not going to go there. All right, let's go upstairs and let's take a look and see if we can see anything up there. All right, we made it upstairs to this old house, and there are 2 nice-sized bedrooms with 2 nice-sized closets. Let's take a look at this one first. So over here in this room, what's the red flags? Other than a squeaky floor, which is very common, we're going to take a look inside this closet because outside we pointed out that crowbar situation outside. So this is an old water intrusion issue. So the homeowner tried to patch and repair it, or somebody did anyway. And my buyers are going to come in here, take this all down, fix it properly.
So how do you know it's still not an issue though?
Oh, okay, good question. So we noticed outside that they patched the roof on both sides of the dormers that's in the bathroom. And we took a look in the attic to make sure after a rain, we took a look at it to make sure that there wasn't any water coming in actively. There wasn't any.
Right, and then of course if you have any questions, you definitely want to get that inspector to check out things like that, right?
Right, but my buyers, again, they knew what to look for. They've done this so many times before, so they knew what to look for. All right, so let's take a look at the other side of here.
Here, the other bedroom.
Stefan is very talented in walking backward. So in this other bedroom up here, we again have two very nice sized closets, same format, pretty much a mirrored image of that other bedroom. And again, no red flags in here. The closets in there actually are in good condition.
What about up in the, you mentioned you went up in the attic.
We did.
Or they went up in the attic. So
thankfully my buyer is really tiny and she could fit up there.
There you go. Obviously insulation is a big thing too.
Yeah.
And so you want to check that. It
has some really nice blown insulation up here in this attic as well. She checked it and she checked the rafters, the floorboards up there, and she couldn't tell any red flags at all. But if you have an inspector, obviously an inspector is going to have to get up in there as well and take a look. So, all right, let's head in here to the bathroom. And there are several red flags that I want to point out to you, not necessarily in this bathroom, but things to look for. So we have, if Stefan can come down here as soon as you walk in, we have several layers of flooring. And my buyers are like, should we, at least put a riser there so somebody's not going to stub their toe when they walk in. And they may address the flooring. It's in good condition.
Not a huge issue for as is though,
Not a huge issue for as is. So we have, if I can get it, so we have a bathtub here. That's an older bathtub. They put in a surround. Could you update the surround? Sure. There's some interesting caulking here. Is that necessarily a red flag? Well, no, they obviously caulked it so that the water wouldn't get behind it. So no, there's not any huge...
Houses that are lived in have things that have been used, right?
Absolutely. And so there is a fan in this bathroom, but I'm not seeing a switch to turn it on. So we do have some peeling paint in here. So I would recommend, serious issue? No, not a serious issue, but it is an issue with if you don't have a fan that's working and you may have some peeling paint.
And you also want to make sure that fan is vented to the outside, not just into the attic.
Not to the attic, because you don't want moisture going into your attic, creating potential bad mold situation. So let's head downstairs to the basement and take a look and see what red flags we can see down there. All right, we have made it to the spooky basement. Honestly, this is not a spooky basement, is it, Stefan?
No, it's nice.
And so one of the things that we honestly take a look at and not necessarily take a look at when we go to the basement, but we smell. And we honestly don't smell musty. We don't smell like it's getting damp in here at all. The seller didn't disclose that it got damp in here. He doesn't necessarily have to, but I don't see any evidence of it on the walls or on the floor down here. But I am standing in front of this. This is a heating and air conditioning system. It's gas fed. We're going to take a look at that and make sure. So the buyers, they took a look at it. They turned the furnace on, they turned the AC on, and they checked it out themselves. But that is one of those big ticket items. Let's say it wasn't working properly. The seller was selling it as is. that's something that we can negotiate and talk about, okay? So that's one of the things. Here's the old coal chute room, which is just really cool in an old 1950s house. No light in there, there isn't a light in there, but we're going to...
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Huh?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
I know, right? We're also going to, take a look at the water heater. We're going to test and make sure that the water is heating up properly in an inspection, or if you're a buyer, we're going to negotiate that as well. And there is a breaker box here, and with some updated wiring in it. It's also a very negotiable item, even if a home is being sold as is, because we take a look at a lot of the health and safety issues that could be a problem. There's one more thing I want to point out down here, and that's these things here. And that's an old knob and tube electric system. And there are pros and cons amongst electricians on whether those things are, and honestly a health and safety issue. And again, we're going to take that on a case-by-case basis, and it depends on you and what you would like to do. So
now, knob and tube wiring, though, is kind of an old, outdated thing.
It
it's kind of dangerous, but this house has been rewired.
It has been rewired, but they just left the knobs.
They left the knobs.
They didn't. They took out.
But if you find a house,
tubing.
Right? If you find a house that has it in there,
right? We're going to check it and make sure, that it's okay. It can become a negotiable item in a home that is sold as is.
So, what would you look for, like, in the foundation? I mean, we talked about the foundation outside. I mean, what about that looks discolored over there? Is that a problem?
So this basement has been painted white because I don't know for what reason. It brightens it up down here. Other than that, I don't know. And yeah, you're going to see some discoloration here, and I don't know what's behind that board, honestly. Right. So I don't know. There's always hidden issues that that is important to budget for.
Home inspector, though. Home inspector is always your key.
May be able to tell you what that is. This is the sewer stack. This black cast iron here is the old sewer stack, and it runs all the way around this side of the basement here. So, those things have a tendency to leak sometimes.
Right.
But I don't see anything in this room, honestly, at all. We also take a look at the floor joists to make sure that they are good. The termite inspector, when he was here, took a look at these floor joists to make sure that there's no termite intrusion issues. And honestly, this house has these old concrete support beams in this old house. And man, no termite's going to get into that concrete pillar here. So that is really, it's a really solid, really good house for being built in 1950. Okay. So, that's just a few of the issues. We're going to wrap this up. We're going to go back upstairs, and we're going to talk about a few more things.
All right. Well, she let me back here in the video. Woo-hoo! And I came here. This is my favorite part of the house.
Would you stop? I can't get him to stop spinning this.
Oh, okay. I'll be good. She hit me again.
I did. Behave.
Well, anyway, Leslie, but anyway, one of the things that we haven't talked about yet, though, with an as-is home, or really any home, is how do you prepare for that, knowing that it's going to need repairs? Although this home, it doesn't need a whole lot of repairs. It's in really good shape for a house that's listed as is. But like you said, there's a reason that was listed as is, But how do you prepare for that in a budget?
In a budget? Well, you gotta know how much you're willing to spend and how much you're going to have to hold back in order to do any of those repairs. So budget is incredibly important, and understanding that there's always going to be some hidden issues.
Yeah, and what do you do for those hidden issues then?
You fix them. You actually, I would always recommend people budget, at least 10% of the budget needs to be for those hidden issues.
I know we've fixed up several as-is homes that we bought ourselves.
And some of them have been better than others.
Right. And some of them gone down to the studs, haven't they? But like I say, the thing about it is you have a vision of what you see and you want to do. But one caution I would say is, make sure that you don't over-improve your home. Now, if you live in a very exclusive neighborhood, you're going to want to improve your home probably as nicely as you possibly can. But it depends on the neighborhood too. Don't over-improve your home. Don't be that home
What's the average resale value of the homes in your neighborhood?
Doesn't mean you can't have more than that, but you probably don't want a $700,000 house in a $150,000 neighborhood.
You don't.
So just make sure that when you're improving things, that you budget for it and that you don't over-budget for that.
Right.
And And I think that you have a dream, and you can do that, and you'll see that dream, and it's.
I love first-time home buyers because they come in with a vision.
Yep, it's rewarding to see. It's rewarding to see, but stay within your budget too, right?
Absolutely.
And but to do that, you got to decide early on how much are you going to pay for the house versus how much you'll get out of it at the end. And of course, that's where we can give you some ideas there. We've had some experience there and been in the business for a lot of years too. So, but I really think that before we go, we probably ought to. Let's give 3 takeaways. Okay. For today's video. I think the first one was that as-is homes aren't necessarily something you should stay away from, right?
No.
Yeah, I mean.
I wouldn't stay away from an as-is home. I would definitely, again, you're going to say, Leslie, you have said case by case in this video so many times, but it is, honestly, it is a case by case basis. And so we're going to take a look at it.
She's such a case.
I am a case.
But anyway, what's the second thing?
So we're going to, as we have walked through this house, we have shown you and pointed out some things to look for in an as-is property. If you know that you're buying it as is, then there are certain things that we're going to take a look at, especially the major things. Your HVAC systems, your water heater, things like that, your electric system, plumbing. Yeah,
exactly. Make sure, and it doesn't mean, like we said, doesn't mean that the seller might not help you with it if there is an issue that's found out, so that's not what as-is means. So, and then I think the last thing would be what I just mentioned, your budget. Make sure that you kind of know what you're getting into before you get into it the best you possibly can, because you're going to get surprises along the way.
Absolutely.
And you want to be
Don't be surprised by the surprises.
That's exactly right. Surprise!
Oh my goodness, I can't take him anywhere.
Well, anyway, why don't you wrap this thing up for us then?
All right. Please leave me a comment. I would love to know if you have bought a house as is and have fixed it up. Share with us your comments, photos. I would love to see what you have done. Now, are you thinking about doing an as-is property or finding a property to invest in? Let us know that as well.
Yeah, no doubt, because we'd love to help you and give you our expertise as well. And like I say, it's been an honor to help so many folks. It really has. And the folks that we're working with here are just great folks, and it's just fun to help, and we appreciate that. And so we hope you'll give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. But until next time, we'll see you around town.